So, this is going to be my very first video that I make, so don't judge me too hard on this. I just gotten the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, and I'm talking to you through my helmet, which is a Cardo Blacktop Edge, which I'm really satisfied with so far. So let's just see if it managed to catch some audio for video purposes, not only to talk with friends in my group and such. And as you probably can tell, English is not my first language, so please bear with me with all the mispronunciations and yeah, everything like that. If I stutter or don't know what to say, that probably means that I lost the word, or I quite frankly don't know the word English. So I'll just have to take it as it goes. Today we are going on is it like an hour ride? Just over an hour. To see my uncle. And we started off in Göteborg in Sweden, as you saw, in an area called Marieholm, and we're gonna go on minor roads, not the very smallest roads, but minor roads to get there. So if it's gonna take an hour or 50 minutes or 45 minutes, I really couldn't tell you at the moment. And if I forgot to say, the motorcycle that I have is a 2024 BMW R1250 RS, which shares many of the components, especially engine and gearbox and so on, with the GS, which is extremely, but I think it's too, for me it's just too big, and I like it a little more sporty, like this one. I'm not a road racer by any means, but I like this bike. It's the perfect fit for me. I like the extreme amount of torque you get from the Boxer engine, and yeah, it's just a very good bike for me personally. I've had it since, I only had it a year now, but I mean, it's for me it's perfect. Really should do something about the windshield. This is a aftermarket Wunderlich It's called the Wunderlich Marathon. And I mean, for me, when I'm riding, it's doing okay. Better than the stock windshield, but if you guys can see any kind of decent footage, or if you guys just see through the windshield. But right now the air hits just on the very top of my helmet. There is a little bit of turbulence, not near as much as the stock windshield, because that was horrible, unfortunately. But I do know another YouTube channel named Jeff Two Tires, Texas, America, that I watch frequently, and he's got another windshield with a little, like, an extra piece on top, which is like a deflector, adjustable deflector. And I had a similar setup on my old Kawasaki Versys, and that worked out very good. But again, it's not the same bike, so you really can't compare the two. But maybe in the future I will see if I can find one of that. That was MRA windshield, I believe, that I bought for the old Kawasaki. And maybe in the future I will see if I can find one of to a reasonable price. It also depends on how many YouTube videos I'm gonna make and what kind of footage this turns out to be, because as I said in the beginning, this is my very first video. And yeah, let's just see what happens and what it will be. My view is just well over the windshield. I'm looking like 10 meters down, probably like this for you guys. So the windshield is not anywhere interfering with my field of view. So just for me riding alone, I would say it's a good windshield. Maybe not the best, but it's way better than the stock one. I also downloaded this Detect app to my phone, which is like mirrored onto the Carpuride W502B. I did not go for the BS, which, no, it doesn't stand for bullshit, but it has something to do with, like, you can control everything from like your Wonder Wheel and things like that, but I don't really fancy fiddling around with things while I'm driving. I do enjoy having the screen up here instead of the mount which was down here, but I don't fancy fiddling around with menu buttons and things like that while I am driving. I can do that when I'm stationary, that is no problem. Which means that I can put in my address and do whatever I want while I'm stationary. And yes, many of you maybe not complain, but many of you might notice that I do hand gestures like this when I talk, but that is not the same as fiddling around, trying to read a screen, typing in an address, and things of that nature. Today we have only 7 degrees here, which is not very hot, but okay. I do have my thermal wear underneath my jacket, so only like I'm really happy that I have these handguards at the moment, because I don't have, well, I do have some warmer Richa or some gloves, and they are very good and very warm, but now it's just like the in-between temperature where the Richa gloves is a little bit too hot, and these are just borderline on too cold. But I do have heated grips, and I do have these wind guard hand guards that is helping a lot, at least with the wind. And then I had the heated grips, and that helped sorry, that helps me keeps my hand warm. I'm really anxious to see how this footage turns out when I get home and start my computer and start to edit. And I have actually never ever edited a video before, ever. So that will be fun, I guess, or interesting, or just a lot of hard work, and I will never do video again. Let's see. I don't know. I do got some really nice Centrics from my very good friend Sharpie. So if you're watching this, Sharpie, you are honored. It's an honor to know you, sir. And I really appreciate the tips and tricks that you've given me. And I also looking forward to meet you and your wife September. And for those of you that don't know Sharpie, he lives in Thailand. And my wife is from Thailand, so we go there at least once a year, sometimes 2 times a year. But I mean, the airplane tickets has become extremely expensive. Like the very first time I went to Thailand was 2015 or 16, something like that. And you could go from Sweden to Thailand for easily 4,500 Swedish kron, which is like $450, 450 euros also, for that matter. But now it's just absolutely crazy. We went there over New Year's, and that was 30,000 kron for 2 people. And now we just made a booking for September, and that is 20,000 kron. Which is a lot better than 30,000, but still a long way off to one thing that I don't like about the Detect app is that it doesn't show you the current speed limit on this road. So we're just gonna pretend it's 90. Because it might be, or it might be something else. What are they doing? Does this concern motorbikes as well? Yeah, I guess so. Is the last day of Easter holiday here in Sweden. At the end of last week, like Friday was the first day. Oops. Friday was the first day of Easter holiday, but the weather hasn't been amazing. Only like Wednesday and Thursday last week, which was still a working day. They were like, we almost had 20 degrees, which is really nice. There was a lot of motorbikes out. I went for a small ride yesterday, and there was like, it was so humid, it was almost raining. I do believe I had some raining, but it wasn't like actual rain at the times, just a little bit. So I went for a small ride yesterday, and I saw one other rider. And today the weather is definitely better today. It's still not amazing, but it's definitely better. So we'll see if we meet some other motorcycles or not. I cannot get this Carperide. It works brilliantly, but I cannot get the audio from the Carperide to, which is a bit strange. I mean, I see all the directions and everything, I see that on the screen, so it's basically no problem. But when I use whatever app imaginable in my car, which also has Apple CarPlay, I mean, the stereo in my car just gives me a little ding or something like that, just to alert me to there is something happening, like a speed camera or any major issues on the something like that. And that would be quite handy to get that notifications in your helmet as well. But I guess I have. Oh, look, there's a friend. I guess I have to live without that. Nothing really to do about it, I guess. Oh, 2 more. Wow. Hello. The only downside, well, it's not actually a downside, but it can be annoying at times. It's the gearing on this. The gears are so tall that, like, right now I'm doing 73 kilometers an hour, 4th gear, and I have about 3,000 RPM. And I have 2 more gears to go, 5 and 6. 6 gear is basically useless, anything under 110 kilometers an hour. Well, you can say it's a downside, but as long as you're riding alone, there is no problem really. But when my wife comes along and we have a lot of luggage, if we're going on a small holiday or something, the bike is like 100, no, not 100, maybe 80 kilograms heavier. And if you have to start going uphill, might be some trouble. Are we braking? Dog is taking a dump. Okay. We need to brake for that, sir. Check, are we still recording? Yes, we are. Good. too easy to way over the speed limit on this bike, so whenever it's like 50 or 70, I usually set my because it's just too easy to go way too quickly, which I never do, by the way, if somebody wonders. Better stay there. You. Now we are approaching the long-term parking that I always use whenever I have to leave my car on holiday. Right here on your right. It's Långtidsparkeringen SE. Always been really good. Never had any issues with those guys. Really nice people, and they do take care good of your vehicle. Road in here on the left is it could be a very nice motorcycle road, but always many accidents, a lot of gravel on the road, and a lot of, as you saw, a lot of the trucks, big trucks, and a lot of people that's in a really big rush to go God knows where. But it could be a really nice. vacation in Thailand, I do have access to another motorcycle in Thailand, not my own, but it's it's a part of the family, to say. It's a Honda CBR, which is basically the same as a 600 here in Europe, but it's a 500cc parallel twin that I use. I'm there, and I don't take this helmet to Thailand. However, I do take these pants, safety motorcycle pants, and I do have a Nox jacket, which is it basically just lets the wind straight through, but it also has the safety ratings, motorcycle protection. So I have that, and I have my boots, and I have my motorcycle pants, or whatever you want to call it. So it's all about trying to be as safe as you can. And I also ordered a new camera mount, similar to the one I'm using now, but a different brand. Right now I'm using chin mount for this helmet, which Shoei GT Air 3. Do I like the chin mount? I mean, it's okay. It hasn't fallen off yet, I don't think. So it is okay, but it seems, I mean, the fitment is pretty good, but the adhesive is quite hard, which makes me wonder if it really sticks properly. Like, it's only like a patch, like 3 or 4 centimeters by like a square, like another 3 or 4 centimeters. What happens in the middle when you can't really push it so that you can actually see that you compress the adhesive, which makes me wonder, does it really stick in the middle, or well, time will tell, I guess. This part of Sweden is where I grew up, so I am very familiar with all the roads and things like that here. I just use the GPS just to activate alerts, warnings, or whatever there might be on. Because it has a tendency to not show you unless you have a active route. If you just show the map, that it doesn't really collect all the data about there might be some debris on the road or something like that. So that's why I used navigation. Very yellow house. Nice Corvette tucked away back there. Don't know why. For one though, it was a Corvette C4. should be. Yeah, it looks like it. Like these little messages here. They, in my car, they go ding, it's speakers. But not, I just cannot get it to work. Probably a human error, I guess. I'm not, I just can't figure out how to get the alerts to go off in my helmet. If I get an incoming call, yes, like I do, I'm able to get the phone calls in my helmet. No issues whatsoever. And it also, as I mentioned earlier, doesn't matter app I'm using, if it's this one or if it Waze or you name it. I cannot get the notifications, warnings, or anything like that to come on my speakers. Pushing time. I do have a quick shifter and a blipper on this bike. The blipper I use for downshifting, obviously, a couple of times. Not every time, but on and off, I guess. But the quick shifter, I really only use it when, like, really feeding her the onions. And, well, it tends to be over the speed limit with like one shift, and then you're over the speed limit. So it's whenever I go on a ride like this, just a relaxed ride, I don't have any problems using the clutch, which is much smoother. I know on these Boxer engines, quick shifter can be a little and a little clunky compared to, like, a friend of mine has a BMW S1000XR, and I have another friend that has a Kawasaki Ninja 2000 SX, and they are, I mean, the quick shifter there, they are silky, silky, silky smooth. You basically only need to use whenever you are stationary and the takeoff from a standstill. There's another Corvette C4 up there. What the hell? They growing them around here, or what's the deal? This small road that we are going on here is when I was young, which was a couple of way too long ago, but when I was young, I do believe it was Ducati that had a road map, like an actual paper size road map, where they rated all the small roads from like a 1 to 5 star road, and this I do believe was a 5-star motorcycle road, and it still is. Maybe they still have that rating, I don't know, but like 25, 30 years ago, when there was still paper maps, this road was very much a 5-star. At this time of year, you really need to be careful of the loop in the corners, because they usually strengthen, is that the word? The sides of the road, especially in the corners, with some larger like gravel, not sand, but like really like gravel, and they have a tendency to do that mostly in the corners, and then people in cars come and they cut the corner a little bit, and a lot of gravel goes right into the road. For us on a motorcycle, that is not a good day. I'm sure we will see it eventually. Yeah, like right here. I mean, it's not on the road, but it's inside of the road here, just in the corner. That these boxer engines produce is just amazing. It's an amazing feeling. If you know, you know. I mean, I really love the sound of a cylinder sport. Well, not a sport bike. I don't like it like excessively loud, but sound of a 4-cylinder motorcycle, it's just something else. And this doesn't have that sound, but it sure makes up to it with all the grunted torque from whatever RPM you choose. Basically anything over idle, it just doesn't hesitate. It just, okay, let's go, and then you better hang on. Friends, and there was a 4-cylinder bike. this road. Elk and deer, badgers, wild boars. Wild boars has been a real problem last 10 years or something. Here's a lot of gravel. Yeah. When will people learn not to cut corners? That doesn't only apply to when driving. Oh, what is this? What is going on here? Military has some kind of a deal going on. I'll let you go right here, because I don't want the world to know exactly where I'm going. So I'll start recording again when I go back. I guess we're back. I had a lovely walk in the forest and some coffee with my uncle. Just on the way back. Because I went this way just like an hour or two ago. Now I know where these gravel bits are. At least I think I know. So can be some more inspiring driving. And it's starting to rain. Way fucking. Hoping that it wouldn't rain today because I got not soaked, but I had some rain yesterday. And when it's raining, it's only 7 or 8 degrees. It's not very. The good old bus number 300. I don't know days to spent on that bus when I was in school many years ago. I had about just over an hour on that bus going to just over an hour coming back. So maybe 2.5 hours every. very popular coffee shop for bikers, but I guess it's too cold and too well, not rainy because it. But oh, anyway, that good today. But normally when it's like really really nice weather, 15, 20 degrees, 25 even, summertime, all day, every week, like Monday to Friday at nighttime, about 6 o'clock or something, 7 o'clock. There is jam-packed with motorcycles in that coffee shop, and also Saturday and Sundays, of course. We do have a couple of groups in Göteborg that are one group on Tuesday nights at about 6 o'clock. They start to ride, and another group on Thursday, also around 6 o'clock. And sometimes I join them if I have time, if I'm not working. Can be anywhere from e-bikes up to 30. Riding a bicycle on this road is the thing that I would recommend. There are more places that is better suited for that. But I guess it's allowed to do whatever. But I wouldn't recommend it. Well, right now there is not some traffic, but on the weekdays, the morning traffic going this way, same as we are going now, there is a lot of traffic. And in the afternoon, many people, they finish work in Gothenburg and they go home. A lot of people live close to where we just were, so the traffic going back in the afternoon. It's massive. It's big. You're braking. Okay. Strange looking contraption on the roof of that car. Don't know what to. Some kind of road measuring. Or it had like a tower on the roof, a tower full of cameras pointing every direction possible. Motorway. That's not only what I do, but now I just want to get home. And me and my wife have some cooking to do, to make food to put in our lunch boxes for the next week or something. So get Norway. talk. Can definitely feel the wind starting to pick up a little bit, and the clouds they are darker right in front of us. So let's just hope that I make it back before I get wet again.